In this series of videos, we're going to talk about the complex plane and vector representation. To begin with, if I wanted to graph a complex number which is given by both its real and imaginary parts, we have to modify what we understand our complex plane or our regular rectangular plane to look like. So where we're used to the x-axis being the horizontal axis, we're going to call it the real axis now. And the vertical axis, which is our y values normally, is going to be the imaginary axis. And this is going to allow us to take both the real and imaginary parts of my complex number to graph its position on the plane. So let's look at an example of this together. I want to find the sum of these two complex numbers here, graph them, and then also graph the result. So remember that when I am actually adding two complex numbers, I'm first going to add both of their real parts. In other words, 6 plus -4 gives me a positive 2. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add their imaginary parts. So -2i minus 3i gives me -5i. -5i. So I have now the resulting complex number that I'm going to graph, as well as the two original complex numbers. So we're going to start with the two original complex numbers. In order to graph these on the complex plane, we simply use the real portion of the number and move in that direction. So we're going to move 6 in the real direction or along the x-axis, and then we're going to move down or -2 on the imaginary part. So we move over to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down 2, and here I have the complex number for 6 minus 2i. Let's do that again with the -4 minus 3i. So we're going to move in the real direction, which is a -4 along the x-axis, and then again we move -3 along the imaginary axis. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 3, so we're somewhere out here. This would be the complex number for, or the graph of -4 minus 3i. And then the resulting value that we added together is 2 in the x or real direction and -5 in the imaginary direction. So we move over 2 and down 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're down here. This is the resulting value of the complex number 2 minus 5i when I add these two imaginary or these two complex numbers together. And that's how we're just going to look at a complex plane and then how to graph its values.